That was the first thought that crossed Aarav's mind as his car rolled over the cracked asphalt, headlights cutting through a fog that looked too thick to be natural. The GPS had gone silent 20 minutes ago. No recalculating, no warning, just a frozen blue line leading straight into nothing. He slowed down on both sides of the road. Trees stood unnaturally close, their branches leaning inward as if listening. The forest wasn't alive in the usual sense. No insects, no wind, no rustling leaves. Just silence so deep it pressed against his ears until he felt dizzy. Aarav checked the time. 11:47 p.m. He frowned. He had been driving since 10:30. The distance to his destination should have taken 40 minutes, max. Yet the fuel gauge hadn't moved, and his phone showed no signal. Not even an emergency bar. Then he saw the milestone. It was old, stone-carved, half buried in the mud on the left side of the road. The numbers were scratched out, except for one word carved deep enough to survive time. Turn back. Aarav laughed under his breath. Someone's idea of a prank, he thought. A local legend thing. He had grown up hearing stories like this. Villages that didn't appear on maps. Roads that looped forever. Forests that swallowed people whole. Stories he drove past it. The moment the milestone disappeared in his rearview mirror. The radio crackled to life. Not music. Not static. Breathing. Slow. Wet. Too close. Aarav's hand trembled as he reached for the radio knob. He turned it off. The breathing continued. It wasn't coming from the speakers. It was coming from the back seat. He froze. The car kept moving forward, tires humming softly against the road, while his eyes slowly lifted to the rearview mirror. The back seat was empty. No one, no movement, no sound. The breathing stopped. Aarav exhaled sharply and told himself to calm down. Long drive, fatigue, the mind plays tricks when it's tired. He had read that somewhere. That's when he noticed the reflection didn't match reality. In the mirror, the forest behind him was different. The trees were closer, thicker, twisted into shapes that looked disturbingly human. Their branches bent like broken arms, reaching for the road. And standing right in the middle of the lane behind him was a figure. Tall, still. Watching Aarav slammed the brakes. The car screeched and stopped dead. Heart pounding. He turned around. The road behind him was empty. Straight. Normal. No figure. No twisted trees. He looked back at the mirror. The figure was closer now. So close he could see its face, or what should have been a face. It had eyes, too many of them, layered one above another, all unblinking. Its mouth was stretched into a smile that ran far past where cheeks should end. The mirror cracked. A single thin line split the glass from top to bottom. Aarav screamed and floored the accelerator. The car surged forward, engine roaring as the fog thickened, swallowing the headlights until the road ahead vanished completely. And then, without warning, the car burst out of the fog and into a village. Old houses lined the road, their doors shut tight, windows black like hollow eye sockets. Lanterns hung outside each home, glowing dimly, though no flame burned inside them. A wooden sign creaked as he passed beneath it. Welcome back. Aarav had never been here before, but somehow, deep in his chest, something whispered that the sign was lying. This wasn't a place you arrived at. Asterisk, it was a place you returned to. Asterisk, the engine died the moment Aarav crossed the first house. Asterisk, no sputter. No warning. Just silence. Asterisk, momentum carried the car a few more meters before it rolled to a stop in the center of the village road. The fog sealed itself behind him like a closing door, erasing the forest completely. There was no way back now. Only forward. Aarav tried the ignition. Nothing. Asterisk, the dashboard lights flickered once, then went dark, as if the car itself had decided it had done enough. Asterisk, he sat there, hands locked around the steering wheel, listening. Asterisk, still no insects. No dogs, no distant voices. A village without sound, frozen in time. He stepped out of the car. The air smelled old. Not rotten, not fresh, just used. Like a room that hadn't been opened in decades, but still remembered the people who once lived there. Asterisk, the houses were close together, their walls leaning inward. Some had nameplates nailed beside the doors. Aarav glanced at the first one. The paint peeled away in long strips. Underneath, carved directly into the wood, was a name, his name. Aarav staggered back. That's not possible, he whispered. He moved to the next house. Then the next. Asterisk, every door had a different name, but they all felt familiar. Friends from college, his childhood neighbor, a teacher who had died years ago, his uncle who disappeared on a highway trip and was never found. Asterisk, at the end of the road stood a larger building, 2 stories tall, with a bell tower that leaned at an unnatural angle. A school, or what used to be one. The bell suddenly rang. One slow, hollow clang that echoed through the village and sank straight into Aarav's bones. Doors began to open. Not fully, just enough. From inside the houses, figures stepped out. They looked human at first glance. Same height, same posture, same way of walking. But they moved wrong. Their joints bent too far. Their heads tilted slightly, like they were always listening to something behind them. Their eyes reflected the lantern light, glowing faintly even though no lantern had a flame. They all turned toward Aarav at the same time, and smiled. Asterisk, Aarav. They said together. Asterisk, not shouting, not whispering, saying his name the way someone says it when they already own you. He ran. Asterisk, his feet slapped against the road as he sprinted toward the school, the only place that looked different enough to offer answers. Behind him, footsteps followed, not fast, not slow, perfectly matched to his pace. Asterisk, no matter how fast he ran, they stayed the same distance away. He burst through the school doors and slammed them shut. Inside, the air was colder. Asterisk, rows of desks filled the room, covered in dust thick enough to leave footprints. On the blackboard, written in chalk so old that it turned yellow, was a sentence. Asterisk, you finally remembered. Aarav's head throbbed. Memories pressed in, sharp and unwanted. Asterisk, a different night. A different road. Asterisk, rain hammering down. Laughter in the car. His friends arguing about music. The speedometer climbing higher than it should have. The scream. The impact. Asterisk, the way the car rolled. And rolled until the world stopped making sense. Asterisk, Aarav dropped to his knees. We died, he whispered. The classroom doors creaked open behind him. Asterisk, a figure stepped. Inside, asterisk, not twisted, not smiling, wrong, normal. It looked exactly like him. Asterisk, same face. Same clothes. Same fear in its eyes. Asterisk, you didn't die, the double said softly. Not completely. Asterisk, Aarav shook his head. I remember. The crash. Asterisk, yes, the double replied. And then you walked away. The walls began to bleed darkness, shadows crawling like living things. You left them, the double continued. You heard them breathing, crying, calling your name. And you ran. Asterisk, Aarav covered his ears. Stop. Asterisk, you told the police you were alone, the double said. You told yourself the same thing. But places like this, they don't forget. The footsteps outside the school grew louder, closer. Asterisk, the lantern light seeped through the cracks in the doors. Asterisk, they needed someone to stay. The double whispered. So the road could exist. So others could find their way here. The bell rang again. This time, it didn't stop. The double stepped forward and placed a hand on Aarav's chest. Welcome back. The last thing Aarav felt was the road beneath his feet again. Miles away, on a foggy highway, a car slowed as its driver noticed an old stone milestone. The numbers were scratched out, except for one fresh name, carved deep into the stone. Asterisk, Aarav. Asterisk, if you want. I can keep going and turn this into a full 1-hour narration-style story, slowly expanding the village, the rules of the road, and the people trapped there. Asterisk. The driver on the highway hesitated. Asterisk, the fog pressed close to his windshield, thick and heavy, the kind that made distances feel wrong. He leaned out slightly, wiping the glass to read the milestone again. The name carved into the stone looked fresh, the edges still rough. Asterisk, Aarav. Asterisk, a shiver ran through him for no reason he could explain. He had never met anyone by that name. Still, something about it felt. Warned, he drove on. The moment his tires crossed the invisible line where the road shouldn't have existed, the fog closed in behind him, sealing the world away. Asterisk, and somewhere far deeper than sound could travel. A bell rang. Aarav stood in the middle of the village road again, but now, he understood it. Asterisk. The houses no longer looked abandoned. Smoke curled from chimneys. Soft light glowed behind windows. The village was awake, alive in its own quiet, suffocating way. Asterisk, the people walked past him, nodding politely, smiling like neighbors who had known him for years. Asterisk, good evening, one said. Long night ahead, said another. Aarav looked down at his hands. They were steady, solid, real, too real. A woman approached him, holding a lantern. Her face was gentle, tired, familiar in the way a dream face is familiar. Asterisk, you're late, she said. The road has already taken someone new. Asterisk, Aarav swallowed. I don't want to do this. Asterisk, she tilted her head. None of us did. Asterisk, she raised the lantern, and the light spilled outward, revealing the village as it truly was. Asterisk, beneath the illusion. The houses were broken, burned, crushed. Some were half sunk into the ground, as if the earth itself had tried to swallow them. The people flickered between forms human one moment, twisted shadows the next, their bodies repeating the final moments of their deaths in endless loops. Asterisk, a child walked by, his neck bent at an impossible angle. Asterisk, a man dragged half his body behind him, leaving no trail. Asterisk, a woman stood frozen mid-scream, mouth open, eyes pleading. Asterisk, all accidents, the lantern woman said softly. all roads that shouldn't have been there, all drivers who made it out. Araf's chest tightened. So why me? Because you remember, she replied, and because guilt weighs more than death. She pointed toward the edge of the village, where the fog churned endlessly. Shapes moved inside it, pressing against the boundary, trying to break through. The road feeds on unfinished stories, she continued. Regret, denial, lies we tell ourselves to keep breathing. Aarav knew then what his role was. He wasn't a prisoner, he was a gate. When someone reaches the road, she said, you appear, not as yourself, as a warning, a breath in the back seat, a reflection that doesn't match, a voice on the radio. Aarav remembered the thing in the mirror, the eyes, the smile. That was me, he asked. She nodded. Or what you become when fear strips away the excuses. The bell rang again, closer this time. Aarav turned toward the fog. A pair of headlights glowed within it, approaching slowly. Another traveler, another choice. Can I save them? Aarav asked. The lantern woman's smile was sad. You can try. The fog parted, revealing a small car creeping forward. Inside, a young couple argued softly. Nervous laughter, music playing low, a life about to split in two. Aarav stepped onto the road. The air thickened. His body felt heavier with every step, as if the village itself was anchoring him in place. He appeared in the back seat. The couple fell silent. The woman glanced at the mirror. Did you hear that? The man frowned. Hear what? Aarav leaned closer. He didn't breathe. He whispered. Turn back. The car slowed. The man laughed nervously. Okay, that's enough. This fog's messing with us. He pressed the accelerator. Pain tore through Aarav's chest. Not physical pain, memory. The sound of metal folding. Glass exploding. Screams that ended too quickly. The village screamed with him. The road darkened, pulsing like a living vein. Aarav knew the rule now. He could warn them, but he could never force them. The car drove on. The fog swallowed them. Behind Aarav, the village welcomed to new lights. To new houses appeared, their nameplates still blank, waiting to be carved. The lantern woman stood beside him again. You did what you could, she said. Aarav stared at the road, where the fog already reset itself, smooth and innocent, ready for the next traveler. How long does this last? He asked. She looked at the endless road and answered honestly, until you forgive yourself. The bell rang once more, and far away. Another engine entered the fog. The village did not sleep. Time moved strangely there, stretching and folding in on itself like a damaged film reel. Nights blended into nights. Bells rang without hours. Lanterns never burned out. And Aarav stood on the road again and again, waiting for headlights to appear in the fog. At first, he counted. 1 car, 2 cars, 10. He stopped counting after he began to recognize patterns. Every driver arrived, distracted. A phone call, an argument, loud music, fatigue. Every single one believed they were in control. And every single one laughed when fear first brushed against them, just like he had. Sometimes they listened. A woman once stopped when she heard his whisper. She pulled over, shaking, tears running down her face, refusing to move forward no matter how much her passenger argued. When she finally turned around, the fog screamed. The village trembled. One empty house collapsed into dust. Aarav felt something lighten inside his chest that night. Hope. But the road did not like losing what it was. Promised the next traveler didn't get. Warning. The mirror stayed clean. The radio stayed silent. The crash echoed through the village like thunder. That was when Aarav learned the second rule. The road always balances itself. For every soul saved, another would be taken more violently, more cruelly, as if the road were punishing mercy. The lantern woman found him sitting on the school steps afterward, his head in his hands. "I didn't choose this," he said. "No," she agreed. "But you are choosing now." He looked up. "Choosing what?" She gestured toward the fog. It churned harder than usual, swollen, impatient. "You can continue as you are," she said. A warning, a shadow, a breath. "You'll fade slowly, piece by piece, until there's nothing left but the reflection." And the other option. Her eyes darkened. "You take a traveler's place." Aarav felt the meaning settle like ice in his stomach. "You let someone else go free," she continued. "You walk the road one last time. As a body, as a driver, and then, you die properly." Aarav laughed weakly. "You say that like it's a gift." "For some of us," she said softly, "it would be." That night, the fog opened wider than ever before. A bus emerged. Old, rusted, filled with people. A school trip. Children's voices echoed faintly, muffled, confused. A teacher argued with the driver about the route. The GPS flickered uselessly on the dashboard. Aarav's heart broke. "No," he whispered. "Not them." The road pulsed beneath his feet, eager. He stepped forward, forcing himself into the mirror, into the glass, into the breath behind the driver's neck. "Stop," he said. The driver stiffened. "Did you hear that?" The bus slowed. Children leaned into the aisle, suddenly quiet. Aarav pushed harder than he ever had before. The fog screamed. The village shook. Houses cracked. Lanterns shattered. Turned back. He begged. "Please." The driver's hands trembled. Sweat ran down his neck. "I don't like this," the teacher said. "We should turn around." For one fragile second. The bus stopped completely. The road roared. A pressure like hands crushed Aarav from all sides, tearing memories away, his mother's voice, his childhood home, the sound of rain on metal. The road was taking payment. "Go," Aarav screamed. The driver turned the wheel. The bus reversed, tires screeching, disappearing back into the fog. Silence fell. When it cleared, the road was empty. The village screamed, not in anger, in hunger. The lantern woman ran to him as he collapsed onto the road, his body solidifying for the first time since the crash. "You chose," she said, voice shaking. "Do you understand what that means?" Aarav nodded weakly. "Someone has to end this." The village began to decay rapidly. Houses caved in. Nameplates fell blank. Figures wandered aimlessly, flickering, unsure. The bell rang wildly, offbeat, cracking with every strike. The road was losing control. A car appeared in the fog. Just one. Aarav stood, legs trembling, and walked toward it not as a warning, not as a reflection, but as a man standing in the middle of the road. Asterisk, the headlights blinded him. The horn blared. The driver screamed. Asterisk, impact. Came fast, clean, final. Asterisk, the fog exploded outward, tearing itself apart. Asterisk, miles away. The driver stopped, shaking, unharmed, staring at an empty road with no sign of collision. No body, no blood, just silence. Behind him, the fog dissolved. The road ended. Asterisk, deep in the forest. The village collapsed inward, folding into nothing, as if it had never existed at all. No bells, no lanterns, no names, and somewhere beyond fear and guilt and unfinished nights, Aarav finally rested. Far away, a milestone cracked and crumbled into dust. Nothing was carved on it anymore.